going on, guys? Nick from That Racing Channel. We are out here at the Haltech Hail Mary Derby 2020. As you can see behind me, some of you might know what that is. This is one of my favorite cars in the entire world. We got Joel Grannas' 6-second Supra out here, so let's check it out, man.
My name is Joel Grannas. I'm the owner of Grannas Racing and the driver of Orange Man Bad. The car is a 1994 Supra. It was originally an automatic car. It was converted into a full 25.3 chassis race car, and it is the world record holder for the stick shift, H-pattern stick shift quarter mile at 684 at 213 miles an hour. Previous best 690 at 194, I believe, and that was the first ever H-pattern stick shift car to run in the 6-second zone. So we were able to knock that ET down a little bit at the Hail Mary Derby in November, but we have a taste for blood and we want to go even deeper into the sixes. With some of the other passes we made at the Hail Mary Derby with some better short times, we think that it should run into the 670 zone. So that is the goal for Texas 2K21. The motor is a 2JZ and it's a billet block from Australia from the company Bullet Race Engineering. It has a BC crank, a 3.2 liter crank. It has GRP rods and it has diamond pistons. The head is done by Head Games. David over there is my good friend, and we've been working together for probably 10 years, ever since I started doing this stick shift stuff. Been at it a long time, and Dave has always been there with me from the beginning, so I appreciate what he's done. So in addition to the bottom end and the head, it has a Precision Pro Mod 102, 102 millimeter turbo on it. It has a 7-inch thick air-to-air intercooler up front, and that was built by Jason Schmuck over in Eastern Pennsylvania. Fuel injector clinic, primary injectors, I think they're 1650 cc's. And then I have the billet atomizer. I can't remember exactly what the size on those are, but they're big and they are basically like a faucet running into the cylinder. The car runs on methanol. It has a T56 Magnum transmission in it. It's what I call my GR1000F, and that's the F stands for faceplated. So it's basically a factory T56 Magnum from Tremec, faceplated by Liberty's gears. You know, I'm making probably 2100 horsepower through this car, and the stock gear set Magnum is able to handle that kind of power. It's insane. It has a Bonifonte triple disc clutch in it, a Drive Shaft Shop 9-inch kit in the rear end with a Drive Shaft Shop carbon fiber drive shaft as well, a brow bell housing. It has GSC cams in the head. The tuning is done by Chris Delgado at Pro Speed down in Texas, and the chassis was built by Precision Chassis in Pottstown, PA. One of the funny things that happened at Hail Mary Derby is I money shifted the car. It's the first time ever in 10 years of racing the car that I've 1-2-1 shifted. It revved out to like 12,500 RPM. Surprisingly, everything survived. So the motor is still in the car here behind me. The head is still okay. And actually, after we made that money shift pass, I listened to the car. It sounded like I might have maybe bent some valves. We went back out and ran another pass, and it actually ran a 7.0 pass at like 215 mile an hour. So apparently everything was still pretty healthy. But just for precautionary reasons, I'm gonna pull the motor, I'm gonna refresh it again, just to make sure everything is good for Texas. One of the cool things I did at Hail Mary Derby was I put a draggy in the car. And if you don't know what the draggy is, it's basically the performance meter that works off your phone. So I strapped the phone into the dash of the car, looking out the front window, and you can watch how the car performs as it's going down the track. What's really cool is you basically can see when you get to the end of the track, I can kind of see what I ran, which is really cool because I never know until my crew guys come down and get me at the end of the track. But some of the best things we've done on there, as far as like 60 foot time, was like a 110, or 0 to 60 mile an hour was 1.13 seconds. And then the fastest 60 to 130 was 1.86 seconds. So pretty damn fast for a H pattern car shifting gears, going from 60 to 130. One of the things we did recently was we switched the rear tire to a radial. So we're running a 28 10.5 radial. Yeah, we switched from Bias Ply Slick, which is what I've always ran. When you have a track that is like well prepped, like the best prep, radial is kind of where it's at. I'll be totally honest. They the radials are faster, and they also will hook better on a well-prepped track. The thing with the radial is it also helps keep the cargo straight. Like if you watch some passes from Texas of this car last year, we switched to the radials halfway through that event. You'll see kind of a difference between the first couple passes we made on the slicks and then the last like 2 or 3 passes that we made on the radials. And it was quite a difference in the way the car reacted and how straight it goes with the radial. Over the course of the event at Hail Mary and through a couple passes, we figured some things out there. And one of the things we figured out was why the car tends to wheelie so much. And the reason that it was wheeling so much is we had a failing nitrous solenoid. What was happening is the nitrous was turned on in the computer. The computer thought that the nitrous was spraying, so it was dumping a bunch of fuel into the car. And if you notice in some of the passes, you'll see like pops and cracks and fire coming up through the exhaust on the launch and on the initial hit. And that's because it was loading up with too much fuel and basically bogging the car out. And then once it finally cleared out that fuel and came into power, it would come into power too hard and too late, and it just basically ramped the car up into giant wheelies. So we changed the nitrous solenoid out, and instantly it changed everything. Everything went back to normal. The car started leaving hard, and we started making good passes. And that's when we ran that 684 pass. The one thing is the intercooler is seeing some giant pressure drop. So what's happening is on the turbo side, we're seeing like 85 pounds of boost. But on the intake side, we're only seeing like 65 pounds. So we're seeing like a 20-pound pressure drop. We're losing 20 pounds of boost basically. Right now it's a 24 by 12 by 3.5 inch core, but stacked 2 of them together. So it's 24 by 12 by 7, but it's not enough flow for the horsepower that we're making. It's basically two 850 horsepower cores. So it's good for like 1700 horsepower. We're making probably 21. So we're gonna change it to 2 4.5 inch cores and get 9 inches out of it, and hopefully we don't lose the pressure. It will hopefully will flow enough for like 2500 horsepower. So that's the goal, is we're going to change the intercooler out so that we can run more boost through the car. Maybe we'll trap 225, who knows. But that's the other thing. So to trap 225, I gotta change the rear gear out as well. If you notice in the video at Hail Mary, you'll see that on that 684 pass at the top of the track, you'll hear it off the limiter. I was basically on the limiter at 11,000 RPMs going through the traps because I was out of rear gear. In this car, I'm running a 411 rear gear here. So we're gonna go down to like maybe a 390 gear, give us enough room for maybe another 10 or 12 mile an hour up top. I mean, it should be really wild in Texas. I can't wait to see what the car is gonna do with all of it. Like, give it all of it and let's see what happens. But that's pretty much it. We will have a 100% hopefully killer car for Texas in the stick shift class.